Hello, bonjour everybody. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for watching my video. Today it is a preparation of my first battle report, and it is amphibious assault. I will take that from the Bloody Omaha Ace campaign mission pack, amphibious assault. So on this preliminary battle report, I'll call that D-Day -1. So on this little short video, we'll talk about conducting an assault on the beach by the attacker, and also what kind of defense it will face when it hit the beach. So it's going to be a step-by-step of how to land your troops and how it works, and a small talk about the defense you can encounter on the landing. In this stage, I'm going to make a step-by-step of the landing for the attacker. So we have the short end of the mat. It's 4 feet wide. And the surf zone, we have a sea zone of 4 inches at the end. Here it says more than 4 inches, but I put the mat right here, so there's 4 inches. We have a surf zone of 4 inches, 10 centimeters, and a beach zone of 8 inches, 20 centimeters. That's the size. 4 feet wide, and sea zone, surf zone, and the beach zone. That is your landing beach. Now the landing craft, you are allowed to 1 landing craft per 25 points for your team. I have 100 points army, so I have 4 landing craft. And that doesn't change if you have amphibious vehicle that will come ashore on his own, like the DD tank or some dock vehicle. When that is decided, the next step will be the drift. Each landing craft that will go to ashore, or DD tank or amphibious vehicle, will drift along the shoreline on the surf zone toward the beach and reach the beach. The reason for that is during the landing, you never really land where you expect to. So they, on Battlefront, recognize that, and they decide we're going to have a drift zone from left to right or right to left to reach to the beach. So to accomplish that, we roll 1 dice. If it is 1 to 3, they go from the right side to the left. And if it is 4, 5, 6, it will go from the left side to the right. So we're going to roll 1, and it's a 6, so it will drift from the left to the right. So I'm going to put a little arrow here to show the drift zone or the current, which way it goes. Now that we know that, it's time to put the troops inside the landing craft in the sea zone. So I'm going to put M10 in this landing craft. I'm going to put my Sherman in this one, and 1 infantry platoon in one of each of my landing craft left. Now you are allowed to put a command of your company with a platoon. So that means my infantry HQ will land with a platoon of infantry. I cannot land my command of infantry with the Sherman or with the M10. It can only land in the same time as a platoon of his formation. So this one land with this infantry. It go the same with my command of Sherman. I'm going to make it land in the same time as a platoon of Sherman. That way I try to have as many force as possible on the first landing. For the DD Sherman, I'm going to explain to you the step-by-step right after we finish with the landing craft. Now in the sea zone, you can place your landing craft wherever you want, but you have to consider when you place it that if you place it, for example, here, and it drifts by 16 inches or 40 centimeters, it will drift outside the map and it will return to the C zone. So you want to be able to drift inside to the beach. So I'm going to try to put it as far as possible on the left side, but without to be on top of each other. So they have to be side by side. Now, how we know the drift for each landing craft? For that, we roll a dice for each landing craft at a time. Each dice roll will give you the drift. So 1 to 4 will drift 4, 8, 12, or 16 inches. So from 10 centimeters to 40 centimeters to the right. If you roll a 6 or a 5, it will stay in the C zone as a reserve and cannot reach the beach on that turn. So let's roll a dice for each landing craft. I'm going to start from the left side to the right side. So I'm going to cheat a bit. I'm going to roll a 5 for this one. I'm going to roll a 1 for my Sherman. I'm going to roll a 4 for this one, and a 3 for that one. Or let's say a 4 there and 3 here. So I got a 5, it's still in the C zone. I got a 1, it's going to land. I have a 4 for my infantry. I have a 3 for my infantry would come in. So we know it will drift 4 inches or 10 centimeters, so we make it drift and land right here on the beach. Now my second landing craft drift 16 inches or 40 centimeters, so I bring it 16 right here. And my last landing craft move by 12 inches, and the 12 inches bring it on top of this one. It cannot, so it's going to go aside of my other landing craft. So we have one that's still in the C zone, cannot land, and 3 that reach the beach. For the infantry, reaching the beach means they can disembark right away. So we're going to place my infantry right away on the beach. So you try to keep them as close as possible all along. Don't forget you have your command and everybody coming in the shore, and you have to be the proper distance to your unit, your platoon command. The same goes with this platoon of infantry. I'm going to just quick put them on. You get the idea. Here's we have our infantry on land. In regard to the Sherman, the Sherman is a bit different. It's a tri-vehicle, and the beach zone is classified as difficult terrain. So difficult terrain, we need to do a cross-check. So a cross-check for a Sherman it's 3. So for the Sherman, or the Sherman HQ, or the Sherman itself, you need for each one a cross-check. So we're going to go, the first Sherman, he got a 4, he can get ashore. My second vehicle got a 2, it stay on board. Now I'm going to roll for my Firefly, it stay on board, and my last Sherman, it stay on board. Now for the command, it land, and let's see the second command, it land as well. So we have two commands and one platoon, one member of the platoon that reached the beach, and we have 3 vehicles on board because they failed their cross check. It's time now for the landing craft that are empty to go back in the sea zone to get reinforcement. This one here, because it still have vehicles on board, it stay on the beach. So for that we need to roll, and you need to roll a 4+. So let's say we roll a 6, it go back at sea, and let's say a 6 again, and it go back at sea. So now we can place on board my next wave. It would be my howitzer, and for them would be my Vickers platoon. And on the next turn, they will try to reach the beach. When your landing is complete, you need the naval artillery fired toward every enemy teams on the tables. We'll talk about that when we will talk about the defensive unit or the defensive zone. The DD tank is almost the same as a landing craft. The difference is if you roll when he is in the sea zone, you need to roll to see if it's going to land. If you roll 1, 2, 3, it will move 4, 8, or 12 inches or 10, 20, 30 centimeters to the right. If you roll, that's when it gets tricky. You roll a 4, for example, that Sherman sink, it gets swamped and that be destroyed at sea and it's done for the game. And if you roll a 5 or a 6, it will stay in the sea zone until next turn. That completes the landing for the troops. One more thing you may decide to do is having an artillery support landing craft in the sea zone. You may decide to keep that landing craft in the sea zone. From here, if you see any troops inland, or if your command team is, for example, against this seawall and see enemy troops, he can request fired from the M10 priest. Will fire his artillery toward the enemy as the same principle for artillery firing, but from the landing craft. So you have priests on board. All 4 priests will fire around toward the target designated by your command. So that, I think, complete your landing on day 1. So let's have a quick recap on the attacker side. When you reach the surf zone and you land, all infantry get off their ship or landing craft and reach the beach end of the beach zone. If you are successful passing your cross, all track vehicle will hit the beach and move forward as your first move deployment. If you use your tactical deployment, you can fire at your rate of fire on movement. If tank fail cross check or get separated on the beach, tanks stay part of the formation regardless the distance between the tanks, as long as everybody is on the beach. As soon as you leave the beach, then you need to be at the distance of your commander. So for example, your DD tank, when they land, they may have some that stay in the surf zone because they failed the cross-check. Some others might have moved 16 inches down because of the drift, and some others may have moved only 4 inches. They have more than 6 inches in between, so technically will be out of their formation command. But because they are part of the beach and they are on the beach, everybody stay on the command until they are leaving the beach. So you can have scattered tank on the beach, but still part of the formation as the rule books. Naval bombardment will occur by the attacker at the beginning of their first turn, so before they start to land the craft or the amphibious vehicles, or it can happen just before he start to fire on turn 1. So let's say before we start the landing, the attacker uses naval bombardment. It will happen only at the beginning of the game. If you want subsequent naval bombardment during any subsequent tour, it will need a command card that allows naval bombardment. Otherwise, only one naval bombardment during the game. Bunkers will not be hit by naval bombardment. It's easy because bunkers are made to be safe from naval bombardment, so there's no reason to roll a dice for every bunkers. Flames of War consider bunkers those anti-tank bunkers, the Tobruk nest, the pillboxes for heavy machine gun, and the nest for artillery, infantry, and so on. The reason why a nest, covered or not covered, is considered a bunkers is usually it comes with a bunker beside, or the troop can hide. So during naval bombardment, my anti-tank, my nest, Tobruk, and pillbox will not be hit by naval bombardment. Also, HQ of a formation is not subject to naval bombardment. So if you have a formation of infantry, the HQ will not be hit by naval bombardment. But otherwise, everybody else, including ambush, is hit on naval bombardment. How works naval bombardment? You need to roll a dice for every unit on the table, including ambush. You will hit on the 4+. So every infantry would be roll a dice against. If he is hit on the 4+, he need to do a save. For infantry, he need to roll at least a 3. If he roll 1 or 2, it is destroys. And it goes the same for artillery, the same principle for any other group like mortar. They go with their save on their card. Now for a tank, it's a bit different because it's armored vehicle. It's still hit on the 4+. But the anti-tank of naval bombardment is 5. So for the Tiger, you need to check the top armor is 2 and the anti-tank is 5. So you do the math. A 3 will bail out the tank. And anything 4+, the Tiger is safe. So if there's a Panther or Panzer IV or Stug, it is hit on the 4. You need to do an armor save. The naval bombardment is anti-tank 5, so you take the top armor according to the card plus the roll of the dice, and you need to match top armor anti-tank 5 to destroy it, not to destroy but to bail him out. Anything above that is automatically safe. So that completes naval bombardment for the Ally at the beginning of the game. Now look at the defensive system. We have passive defense and we have the troops. So on passive defense, we consider minefield as a passive defense, anti-tank barrier as passive defense, and barbed wire are considered passive defense. We also have different kind of bunkers. We have here anti-tank bunkers. We have Tobruk defense, can be with heavy machine gun or mortar. We have pillbox for machine gun, and we have nest. The nest come in two categories. Open nest, so you can have artillery or anti-tank or mortar, or you have enclosed nest, like in this case, with an anti-tank gun. That covers pretty much the defense static. Defensive bunkers are unique and alone. So even if everything is destroyed around, they survive, they keep morale because they are well protected and well safe inside their bunkers. If you need or you want to attack bunkers, you need to be able to see the opening in front of the pillbox or in front of the bunkers. You cannot shoot or assault a bunkers if you are not directly in front of him. So for example, with the wall, this line of sight is right here. So until you reach this, past this line of sight, you cannot shoot at that bunkers, and the bunker cannot shoot at you. For example, you decide to assault this nest. Because they are unique but part of the defense system of bunkers, any bunkers or pillbox or Tobruks will provide defensive fire at the same time as the nest if they are 16 inches from the enemy. So if you assault and you put your troops here on the assault, the defensive fired from the protection would be this to Tobruk because they are less than 16 inches. So you would receive 6 shots from heavy machine gun on each if they are machine gun man toward your defensive plus his rate of fire. Complete the overview of a defense system on a beach. To conclude this video, we will go a bit over the entire map. After my Canadian will leave the beach, the first objective will be that T-junction where they will need to capture. After that, they will try to pass the defense of the German and move forward like on D-Day. They move forward toward the city of Caen and capture also the airport of Carpiquet. The airport of Carpiquet will be the second objective of my Canadian. So this concludes my D-Day -1 video, and my next video will be a full battle report of the event. Thank you for watching. See you soon.